Hey guys, we are live with John Craig, who has been around the block as we were just talking about. He's like, I'm ready to give my top 10 lessons. I know I'm kind of like the back of my hand. Been on the court, been doing this for quite a while. How can you tell us before we kind of get into today, how long you've actually been playing, coaching, kind of like the John Craig life story of tennis?
Oh my gosh. Well, that goes back a little ways, doesn't it? So I started playing tennis back when I grew up in Connecticut in the 70s and um, started playing when I really got interested in tennis when I was about 14, 15 years old. And I lived in a small town. We had three tennis courts. In the summer, the town actually hired me to be the court manager. So I was at the tennis court all day long, like 5 days a week, all summer long in like 1975 when I was 16 and just played all day long. And people would show up and they didn't have someone to play with, and I'd play with them or play against the wall, whatever. That was kind of the beginning. It went real small town. Um, and actually, there was one famous tennis pro who lived in an adjacent town, Barbara Potter. She was top 20, and she was the
Hmm.
only player from that area that was pretty good. So I just got really interested. I played other sports, basketball, baseball, skiing, motorcycle riding, soccer.
Wow.
Played all these sports, and I played a lot of basketball. I lived on a farm. We had actually had a nice barn, and my dad had cars in the bottom of the barn, and on top was a hardwood floor, and we turned it into a basketball court with lights and heat. So I
Oh,
was
that
playing
sounds
basketball.
fun.
It was amazing. I could be out practicing shooting hoops, playing basketball in the middle of the winter when I knew my peers were freezing at home. They couldn't go out and play.
Hmm.
So when I got into tennis, though, I actually started using that same barn to practice during the wintertime. So I was always hitting against the wall, and kind of self-taught in many ways. I mean, back in those days, there was so little to really see. You know, there was WCT tennis on Saturdays at 11 o'clock, and I just sit there glued to the TV and watching these players, and then try to go out and emulate them. And I remember, Rod Laver and Ken Rosewall, and ironically, even like Phil Dent was on TV. And interestingly enough, 11 years later, he was the head pro that worked for me and when I was the director of tennis at the John Wayne Tennis Club, which was unbelievable transition in my
That's
life
crazy.
from a
Yeah.
little town in Connecticut to playing tennis in California in college, and then having this position and working with Phil Dent. It was like I'd almost pinch myself.
Yeah.
But so I went through a pretty big growth curve for about 10 years with my
Uh-huh.
tennis, which was pretty
Uh-huh.
fun. So, and then I started teaching. People asked me to give lessons when I was probably 20, 21.
Uh-huh.
So I was hustling on the side, giving a few lessons here and there. And then post college, I just had opportunities come to me. I did leave tennis for a while and got into the consumer electronics business for about a decade,
Uh-huh.
but missed tennis and got back into it. So yeah,
Yeah, kind of similar to me. We
that's
have
me.
Kay on with us.
Hello, Kay.
She actually went. John, did you see this? Do you know that you're on the Tumblr?
I
Let me
did
see.
see that.
Let me
Yeah.
see. Where can I find John Craig? Where is he? Where is he?
Uh, I
Where
think
is he?
I'm not front and center
There he
apparently.
is. You're right. You're right. You're right under. Do you see yourself?
Oh, there we are. Yes, I am almost
Yeah.
at front and center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good
There we
spot,
go.
right under the end. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
Above, a
But
little slightly above Marban and to the left of Ian.
yeah, so that should be Kay. You should get that tomorrow. I sent it out, and they say it's going to be there by Thursday. She won a little competition. We'll have more competitions on Sunday and give out more stuff. So thank you for joining us. This is pretty good. We have 66 at a lunchtime. I think that's a solid number, John. Um,
Cool.
Now, before we get into your top 10 lessons, I did want to just, so you basically, if I'm right, and I bet you there's a lot of people on the call here, and I kind of started to play, I guess, in what would be called the tennis boom, but I was maybe too young to appreciate that it was a boom. I was
Mm.
72, I was born. I think I started to dabble just before you left Atlanta for New Jersey, so probably just a little before like 1980. So wasn't the 70s, like the mid 70s, the official boom? Am I right on that? And
Yeah.
did you feel like it was a boom? Did people talk about it being a boom like
Oh
they
yeah.
talk about pickleball now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone was trying to play tennis. Everyone was playing tennis. And yeah, obviously Billie Jean's Battle of Sexes was a big launch for that. The proliferation of tennis on TV was big. We had American Stars. That was really cool. That was big too. So
Hmm.
obviously when McEnroe and Connors and Gerulaitis and Tanner, those guys were huge, and Chris Evert, of course, was enormous impact on tennis. So yeah, that was really the big boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we had one indoor tennis facility that was in adjacent towns called Triberry Tennis Center, and I remember going over there with friends, and we could only get a court like at 11 o'clock at night because it
Hmm.
was so busy in the wintertime.
Wow.
So
Wow.
busy. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, tennis boom 70s for sure. And
Uh-huh.
it carried into the 80s, and we sustained it because we had champions, US champions that sustained it. It's unfortunate what's how it's changed, but I think we're making a big comeback, so it's
Oh
good.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
huge,
that's the thing.
huge.
I think we're kind of because we've had a drought, we've kind of had this what's wrong with American tennis narrative, and then there's so many debates on it. But if you look at it now, we have the most players in the men's and the women's. The United States has the most players in the top
Yeah,
100.
yeah,
And certainly there's no drought on the women's side. And I would argue the men are doing great. And it's like, you can't say what's wrong with American tennis. You just can't force a Carlos Alcaraz to be born. Like there's
right.
only one Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner. So
Yeah,
you can't force that. I think if your system is good and you're producing a lot of top 100 players and a lot of people now in the top 10, you're kind of doing your job. It's so
yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, in
yeah.
fact, I went to a tennis event probably about 15 years ago at the Riviera Tennis Club, and it was emceed by Pam Shriver, and Robert Lansdorp was there, and several other notables, Justin Gimelstob, and Bill Scanlon, who was a player in the 70s, a U.S. player in the 70s. He stood up and made his presentation. He started out by saying, "This is a good trivia question for you, Pete." So Bill
Oh,
Scanlon stands up and says, "In 1979, I was the fifth ranked American professional player. What was my world ranking at that time?"
he was the
So
fifth ranked American player.
in
What was his
professional, what was
ranking?
his world ranking?
8.
Maybe we can give a Tumblr away if someone can come up with that answer.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I don't think it was
Quick.
his year-end ranking because it wasn't quite the same. But that he said my highest ranking in '79 was this number. What do you think it was?
I guessed 8.
8?
8.
That's awesome because it was number 9. So
Oh,
he
wow.
was he was
That's
behind
amazing.
he was
Yeah,
behind Connors,
yeah.
McEnroe, Gerulaitis, and Tanner.
That's
He was the
amazing.
number ninth ranked player in the world, but he was the fifth ranked American.
Yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
crazy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy. That's quite a number. We have Ian, who thanks
Oh,
John
hey,
for all
hi,
his
Ian.
hard work and passion, and
Yeah.
we have our buddy Maribon on.
Oh, hey.
And we have Christopher. Christopher, are you still at the top of the leaderboard? What's insane is I have to give you access to the membership so you can see it, John. We got like first I made a top 25 leaderboard, and then we had 25 people tied for first place. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I had to make a top 50 leaderboard so I could really keep track. So you guys are doing just unbelievable because TennisCon 9 officially launches next week, but I've been slowly dripping in, and I've got about 6 videos in there, your videos in there,
Yeah.
in the membership for people to start scoring points early. You get a head start, and they're just like incredible. So you guys are doing awesome. Okay. We are at 12:09. So like it's lunchtime. People are munching. They might have to get back to work. Maybe they're going to go play after this. So we need to get in the top 10. What we're doing is the top 10 lessons that you have kind of think is the most important for people to know out of all your experience with tennis. So I am just all ears. Should we start at 1 or should we go to 10? 10 down to 1 is more exciting. Or are they just in
Well,
any random order
well, it's
kind of?
really, I think I've constructed this really and thought about it in the priority in which we want to improve our skills,
Okay.
and how that sequences out. And it hasn't been easy because I've actually came up with way more than 10, but um, of course, there is no substitute for a great foundation of skills. So I think it's really important that, and I think in this day and age, it's so much easier to develop a great foundation of skills than ever before. You can get so much information, maybe too much, but if you don't have a good foundation of skills, then you're just putting a ceiling on your growth. And you're also the main reason why adult tennis players discontinue playing tennis is either they get frustrated because they can't improve or they get injured. So a great foundation of skills helps you overcome both of those challenges, and it helps you continue to improve through your life, and also reduces the chances of getting injury. So it's really important. And so my number one really starts with balance. I think that it's very important that as tennis players, we understand how to get into a good tennis balance and maintain that balance, because that is the key to really being able to execute with freedom and fluidity and control. And the great Welby Van Horn even said, he was a great coach. He just said that, balance is sort of the frame around the picture. The picture is the stroke, but the frame around the picture is really what enables the picture to be beautiful, is the frame itself. And so we have to be able to start with great balance and try to sustain and maintain that balance as much as possible. So important. And then really, what's the key to really being balanced and staying balanced is great footwork. And I think that as recreational players, we get fixated on stroke technique so much, but really most mistakes are made with footwork, because you can stand still and maybe execute a stroke, but if you're not in great position and don't have a good rhythm into the ball, the stroke will be compromised. So it's so important to spend more time on footwork, at least 50-50 than stroke work, because the strokes fall apart when the feet are not there. The
Okay, I
strokes,
gotta stop. I gotta stop you right there because
please.
we had Richard Bryce, the tennis hacker. I think you were on
Oh,
the call,
yeah.
and Richard switched hands, and so much of his work was on the footwork. So I just want to ask the audience truthfully, just either say yes, I do, or no, I don't. Who works on their footwork without a tennis ball, either on the court, in a field, in their home, who is honestly consistently, not like I've done it, I did it last month, as much as you hit tennis balls, yes, I am working on my footwork, or no, I am not working on footwork. Okay. We're probably going to have all people say, yeah, yes, Maribon's actually doing a fitness workout. No, 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 I do. Never. No. Okay, so you guys are being honest. Does visual count? LOL. It does count for other things, but not. So I jump rope. Does that count? It kind of counts, but jump
Oh,
rope,
yeah.
it definitely counts as footwork, and it's great for tennis players. But I still think like the footwork patterns and learning how to set up and always get set, on your right legs, that you need to adjust, hit different shots. It's kind of like dancing tennis. There's not just one move. That's why I'm not just an open stance guy or a closed stance person. It's a dynamic game, and you need to kind of have these different patterns to optimize hitting the ball with perfect balance, as you're saying. So
Yeah.
I think one thing, John, you let me know, besides it maybe feeling like eating broccoli to people, I think adult tennis players give themselves a pass, like, well, those days are gone, man. I'm in my 50s, 60s, 70s. Like, what's the point of working on footwork? I'm not fast anymore. But I like to argue footwork is different than foot speed. They're not the same thing. How do you kind of equate, and what does footwork mean to you?
Well, a couple things. First of all, I think that skipping rope is a great exercise because it gets you light on your feet. Just think about, for those of you who remember Muhammad Ali, and how he just floated around the ring,
Hmm.
and he created, power through his feet to punch, and he had this great athletic rhythm, right? And I think we need to create that as tennis players. So skipping rope is a really great exercise because it teaches you to get light on your feet. Um, yeah, there is a difference between footwork and foot speed. You can have really great footwork and not be the fastest player on the court. It's really about maintaining a balance, creating a rhythm, and getting in position to the ball. And as far as stances are concerned and so forth, you need to learn the stances, but then you really can't overthink it. Like if a ball's coming
Hmm.
to me, I can't go, I'm going to make this an open stance. Your footwork just sort of falls into place. Once you understand it and you're moving and you're in
Hmm.
motion, you'll adapt to the ball naturally, and your stances will fall into place based on how much time and space you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not about speed. It's really about how to connect your footwork to your swing work to create a rhythmic movement. Um, and it's just really, really important. And I don't really like the word footwork because the back end of the footwork word is work, and we're not really thinking about it being work. I like to think of it as foot play. We're playing through our feet. Think about what a soccer player does. Soccer player plays through their feet. A tennis player has to play through their feet, and then the strokes follow the feet, basically.
I love that.
Yeah.
Foot play. I've never heard that. That makes a lot of sense.
Play through your feet.
Maribon says I was hitting with Will. Are we talking about Will Hamilton from Fuzzy Balls? They live close to each other. I know they're buddies and sometimes play together.
Mayor,
And
my
he
man, you
mentioned
better be beating him.
and his footwork and balance fell off because he wasn't playing as much. But no one wants to train it. Highly underrated way to improve break points. Okay. All right. Excellent. So I don't want to make people feel too guilty. We'll get to the next point. But obviously we spent a lot of time on that, guys, because we do feel footwork is very important for everybody out there to work on. Okay, what is next?
Yeah, I think just one more point here. I have a lot of students that submit videos and they're working on a ball machine. If you're working on a ball machine, almost everyone's just stand still and hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you're blending footwork and your swing work together. So when you're working with a ball machine, set it up so there's a scenario where you're moving and repeating a certain movement pattern. So you're really blending together the footwork and the swing work to create the shot you want, rather than standing still. It's never going to work if you're standing still. Nobody stands still and plays tennis well. So let's not do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, grips. I think grips are really important. We obviously see a lot of different grips, but be open-minded about grips. And I think grips even change over time. And, obviously, I think everyone that's on here with us is a senior player. If you were a kid and you were playing with a Western grip and you're now 55, I doubt you're going to be able to play effectively with that grip. So your grips can change over time, and your grips need to adapt to your individual mobility and abilities, and also the stages and where you are in your tennis. So, but make sure your grip is your only connection to the racket. So you really have to feel like your grips are inside the range of correctness, particularly on volleys and serves where there's really not a lot of wiggle room. You've really got to be in a continental. The forehand can have more wiggle room, of course, but play inside the range of correctness, and develop your skills around those grips. Really important because they influence your stroke pattern so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lately I've been saying more and more because there is this thing of, and I like the videos too, and I make my fair share of them because they are important. It's good to know how to, hit a modern forehand or, be able to learn everything and choose what you like. But I think that the more modern the game gets, people overlook the importance of being able to chip a ball. Especially a lot of you guys are playing doubles out there. So chips can be very effective approach shots, great defensive plays. You want to be comfortable with this grip at the net. And many of you have kind of just like abandoned learning that or working on that because you're just seeing everything just seems to be about, well, what grip should I hold on the forehand to crush the ball? And believe it or not, I saw a video of no one hits the ball hard in Sabalenka. Right? I mean, she crushes the ball, and I've seen multiple videos of her lately rallying from the baseline, chipping the ball, continental grip on both sides.
Well, it's interesting how the game continues to evolve, and it goes through cycles, and for a period of time, everyone was downplaying the slices on the tour, but now you're seeing more slices again. Look what Grigor Dimitrov was doing to Sinner at Wimbledon with his slice backhand. I mean, he had him on the ropes till he got injured, right?
I know, that broke my heart.
No kidding. And then look how the game has evolved into more drop shotting, because if I pull you, Peter, far into your backhand corner and you're off the court, and then I hit a drop shot to the opposite side, that's the furthest distance I'm going to make you run on the court. So many players are so great at moving laterally, but now they're exploiting this forward movement because that's the greatest distance I can make you run. And if you just barely get there and scoop it up, well, now I have a chance to either come in and put the ball away that you float, or I can pass you. So I think it's very important that we develop a complete set of skills so that you can implement different game plans, have more fun playing because you can do more things, and be creative as well and be unpredictable. So it's really important that your game has develops a full set of skills. And I think when you're working on your tennis game, and I think everyone is on here is very adamant about developing their game and getting better and better. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey, and don't worry about winning and losing. Concern yourself more with developing great skills and let the matches just sort of fall into place.
Exactly. So, and the thing too is when we say to work on things, the further you are from being able to use it in a match, just because you're working on something doesn't mean you have to put the pressure on yourself to use it right away. You can slowly bring it in and decide when you want to kind of deploy it in your game that you feel like it's ready, it's battle tested. So this is a good question. What's important about this serve? There's an important point on the serve. My serve rhythm disappears. Any tips on that? So saying when the pressure gets on, serve rhythm disappears. Any quick tips you can give him?
Yeah, well, first of all, Jason's very much a follower on Performance Plus on YouTube. I've known him. He's brought his daughter down for lessons, submitted videos. So thanks for coming on. Nice to hear from you. Rhythm on the serve, I think, is mostly disrupted by ball toss. Um, and I think if you get your ball toss more consistent, you'll naturally start to develop a rhythm and make it repeatable. The rhythm breaks because the ball placement is either off in terms of height or location. And so the key really there, and that's part of my presentation here on TennisCon 9, is how to create really good balance and how to place the ball accurately so that the second half of the serve can fall into place, which includes a rhythmic movement.
Mm-hmm.
The ball is really the key there for you. And the sequencing of movements. I think that traditional tennis, and when I was learning, it was down together, up together on your serve. But if you look at almost every tennis player now, high performance server, they're leading this into the serve with a non-dominant hand, placing the ball first and swinging the racket second. So the rhythm is really, really dictated by your left hand more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the sequence of movements that the left hand is leading you into the trophy position, and it's also leading you out of the trophy position. And the ball placement is central to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that you mentioned that I want to make sure everybody hears, he says, it's a rhythm thing. And so I think when people get nervous and they know their toss is nervous, even when they work on their toss, they tend to just isolate the arm and nothing else is moving. But if you watch John's video too, I mean, you can see his body is flowing with the toss. The more your body can flow in a serve, in ground strokes and movement and at the net, the more your body's flowing, you feel less nervous. If you're like, my toss is terrible, I'm so nervous, and let me just make sure the toss is right, well, it's probably going to get worse and you're going to feel more tight because you're not serving with a rhythm. You're just so nervous about the things that can fall apart, and then you don't have a rhythm, and then it feels tighter and things get worse. So it's important that when you're practicing your toss, like that's why it's important to watch John's video at TennisCon this year. You can see he's got a rhythm in the entire body. He's just not isolating one body part to get that, even though maybe the arm is doing the heavy lifting, or there's certainly a lot of feel in your tossing arm, but he's using the whole body.
Yeah, one of my most popular videos on YouTube is how to perfect your ball toss. It's a top video. It's right there. If you go to my YouTube channel, Performance Plus Tennis, it's a 20-minute video on every detail on the ball placement. So if you're struggling with your ball placement, go check that out because it covers virtually every single detail. It'll help you quite a bit. The toss is kind of like getting the yips on when you're a golfer and you're putting.
Oh my God.
You're standing over that ball and you see the cup there and you get the yips and you just don't play it confidently. So there has to be a feel and a fluidity to that movement that allows you to be natural and comfortable. And I feel like the ball floats out of my hand when I place the ball well. I don't toss it. I don't even throw it. I place it and it just floats away from my hand. It's something that is such an intricate skill, but so central to serving performance. And it requires dedication and practice. Yeah. And just swinging back, we talked a little bit about playing matches and so forth. You're almost never going to be able to practice new skills in a match play environment. You're almost always going to play your matches with the habits you bring to the court that day. So if you're trying to improve or develop a slice backhand or something in match play, you're probably going to get frustrated.
Yeah, I think a lot. Yeah.
So, isolate practice and spend more time practicing the skills and allow them to start to enter into your match play gradually as you get more and more confident in them.
Yeah, I think that is one of the dangers of online instruction. It's so great. I've seen so many people come to me who have some of the best strokes I've ever seen. And I'm like, where did you learn to play tennis? Like, well, all online. So it's great. But I also know there's a lot of people say, oh, I watched your video and then I played a match and I served great. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't know if that was my video helping you out, because the odds of you watching a video on technique and then be able to use it in the match, maybe that person was already further along in their skill development. So this one little thing I said could actually help in a match. So if you're close to something technically and you hear something, it could be the thing that puts you over the finish line. But if you're like way far away from it, a tip that we give you that's technical, that requires different muscle memory movements than you're used to, it's probably going to mess you up. So you don't want to be thinking about that in the match just because you hear an amazing tip on YouTube one day. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's continue on. First of all, we're doing amazing. We have like over 90. You guys are amazing. Over
Cool.
90 at lunch. That's pretty cool. Okay, John, take it away.
So this is repetitive in nature in a way, but you got to develop great preparation. It always astonishes me, even though I've been playing for so long, when I go to Indian Wells every year and watch the pros on the practice court, it just hits me like a brick in the head how great their preparation is. And I just don't think that can be overestimated. The better prepared you are to receive the ball, the more you can execute what you want to do with the ball. And that's what makes tennis, what makes pros make it look so easy, is their receiving skills are so good. And you can divide like a ground stroke into two parts. I make it really simple with my students. I say you have receiving skills and you have sending skills. And of course, then I say, where are the mistakes made? Are they in the receiving or the sending? And a lot of students will go, oh, they make them in the sending part. No, the sending is where they're revealed, but it's in the receiving skill where the mistakes are actually made. So the better you are prepared to receive the ball, the better obviously you can send it. And again, that kind of dovetails back into footwork. Your footwork has to be a component of your preparation. And then really making quality preparation involves a coordinated movement that involves both hands. So, oftentimes tennis players, I think this is way different now than it used to be, but when I was learning in the 70s, there was no mention of the non-dominant hand on anything. I mean, we just played, if you were right-handed, you just played with your right arm, and everybody had an armband on, by the way, because everyone had tennis elbow. But for example, look at how you create a unit turn on a forehand now. How many of you use your non-dominant hand to create your unit turn on your forehand? That's a great question. Let's see what we come up with. How many of you know that and do that consistently?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's see if we can get some
So,
answers.
so when they're making their move, it's more rather than dominating the move with this, it's
Yeah.
dominating the move with that, right? Is
Yeah,
that
and
what you're
for
kind of
me,
saying?
what I do with my students when they're in ready position, I have them actually dominate the control of the racket with the non-dominant hand. So with my left hand's holding the throat of the racket because I'm a one-handed player, and the ball comes to my forehand, my left hand actually creates the preparation, and my shoulders just follow my hand. So it's all coordinated and connected through my non-dominant hand. And the other key benefit to that is that if my non-dominant hand is controlling the racket, then it eliminates the potential for creating tension
Mm-hmm.
in my grip that's
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary and unwanted. So you really want to get your non-dominant hand to be a key feature in your game on every shot.
Mm-hmm.
It participates in every shot, mostly in the preparation stages, and then obviously other things as well, depending on the shot you're playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the non-dominant hand's key.
Yeah. Well, one thing, kudos to our crowd out there. It seems like most people say they do, So it's you guys are an honest crowd. I like how you all said, the footwork I could do better at, but since the sport is played, what we kind of overlook the feet, right? The foot play, as John said, but since it's up here, we're maybe more focused on that stuff and listening closer online to make those moves. And so looks like they're studying that stuff, John. They're listening to you. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, and even like for example, if you're a one-handed backhand with your left hand, my left hand's on the throat. It obviously facilitates my grip change. It prepares the racket. My right arm feels like it just goes along for the ride until it separates away and takes the swing forward. Up to that point, my left hand's actually working. And even when I release the racket to go forward, my left hand counterbalances and creates a sense of balance and power because it's moving in the opposite direction of my forward swing. So
Mm-hmm.
you really, I see a lot of club level players that hit one-handed backhands, and the left hand might as well be in their pocket reaching for a candy bar or something because they're not using it, and those are usually the weakest backhands. So you
Mm-hmm.
make sure that your non-dominant hand is a key element to all of your shots. Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Timing. So, we talk about timing. Oh, he has great timing. She has great timing. So to me, there's really two elements to timing. Obviously, you have to know where your optimal contact points are, the place in your swings where it's ideal to create both power and control. You have to know those, and you have to know how to swing to those spots. That's really, really important. But the other element is actually the rhythm of your swing. And I can make contact at the perfect spot, but if my rhythm of my swing is off, well, that's a mistimed shot. So it's a combination of getting to the right contact point, but also accelerating the racket head through into and through that ball with the right rhythm. And that tempo and rhythm is what you watch pros do, and they make it look so easy. The ball shoots off the racket and looks like they're hardly swinging. Look at Federer. He looks like he's hardly swinging sometimes. The ball just goes shooting off his racket. He had great timing, not only where he contacted the ball, but the acceleration of the racket to the
Mm.
ball. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch most pros, just look at their forehands, when the racket's in the dropping phase, it looks like it's in slow motion because it is in slow
Yeah.
motion, and it drops to its lowest point and accelerates out of that point and gains acceleration into and through contact. And that's really a key element to timing as well. It's two
Mm-hmm.
parts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think also another thing that I think club players can get better at is we always think about power and the ability to generate power as very valuable, but the also the ability to absorb power and to handle power, right? And you'll see lots of times. I'll never forget this. One time I was just watching ESPN, and they had the speed of the ball going back and forth. That was being tracked, and it was a give and take. One player would hit like 86 miles an hour, then the next ball would come back like 45, 50 miles an hour because they're basically absorbing a bomb at them and they're taking the pace off. And then, if the other person wasn't able to do enough with that ball, then the person who hit 45, the next time they got to look, sometimes then they would ramp it up to, 70 or 80. And so I think that club players also need to be aware of, you just not want to be able to create power, but to be able to handle power and absorb pace. And sometimes taking the sting off the ball is just as valuable and a skill to play as adding power to the ball.
Yeah, and I think as tennis players, we tend to try to, in a rally, we try to make every ball in succession better than the previous one,
Mm-hmm.
or harder, and that doesn't have to be that way. And it when you watch high performance players play, they actually use the power of the ball to create the power back too.
Mm-hmm.
You can still look like you're making technically a slow motion swing, but you're using the power of the ball
Yeah.
inside the rally, and it creates a
And
great
that
rhythm.
timing.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, when it comes to power, there's so much focus on power these days because the game is built on power and we see power everywhere. But make your game complete and feel like power is not the root thing you need to actually beat people. I mean, it's probably not realistic for senior players and a lot of adult players. I learned to be more of a tactical player than just a sure power player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the long run, if you look, we're all looking to play tennis for a lifetime. So build your skills and develop your game around the concept that, hey, I want to be playing in 20 years, 25 years. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're just out hammering ball after ball after ball, and suddenly you're 65 and you're hammering every ball, you're probably going to end up in physical therapy and end up not having some injuries that you don't want to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
and
Good stuff.
that kind of folds into the next key thing that most adult players and even most tennis players struggle with, and that's discovering and finding the right tension. And that's body tension, and that's grip tension, and that's
Mm.
arm tension. And it's really important that you have a athletic firmness in your core, but you have to have a sense of freedom and relaxation as well. And for me, my universal reference point is that no matter what shot I'm feeling when I'm playing, no matter what shot I'm playing, I can feel the weight of my racket head. So experiment with that. Just go out and grab your racket, go to the forehand contact point, and feel the racket, almost feel like it's sagging a little bit, like you can feel the weight of the racket head,
Mm-hmm.
and then grip it tight, and you'll see that the racket head disappears. That is too tight. Now loosen it again, let the racket feel the weight of the racket head, and that's a good point of reference for creating fluidity and
Yeah.
relaxation, but still control over the racket head. It's really
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Grips are not just where your hand is positioned on the racket. It's what the hand feels like on the handle as well. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting because in all my courses that I have, I cover footwork specifically for every stroke. So if you have my forehand stroke, my forehand foundations course, I start with footwork. Then I go to grips and I teach exactly what the hand should feel like on the racket. Not just exactly where it should be, because everyone's a little different, but what does it feel like to hold the racket professionally? And
Yeah.
that is very helpful information.
Yeah.
And the non-dominant hand helps you do that as well. So it all
Yes.
blends together. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Good
Yeah.
stuff. This is
All
excellent.
right. Okay. Any questions out there? Anybody have any questions so far? We'll just keep rolling.
Yeah, they
Um, yeah, when we go back to power, I think it's real interesting. Intention, all these things. Do we have a question?
no, that was
Okay.
just a comment.
Okay. So when it goes back to power, intention, and so forth, it's so important that you experiment and discover how to create easy power, power that is developed through balance, rhythm, and timing, and
Hmm.
not tension and muscle. We don't want to be muscling tennis balls because you'll be muscling yourself right into physical therapy. So you need to discover through experimentation, coaching, and guidance how to be free and relaxed and fluid, but also in control of your movements. And it's not an easy discovery for a lot of tennis players, but it's what you see when you look at high performance players play.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is kind of a good question. I have a hard time creating power off a pusher ball, a slower ball. Timing is messed up, time wise, and make errors. What could one do to improve hitting this type of ball? First of all, Jonathan Stokey has a great video this year at TennisCon that's going to talk about how to beat four types of players, and the pusher is one of them. And he says, "Don't call him a pusher," but anyway, it's really good. But what's your thought on this? I have a couple different thoughts on it as well.
Great. Well, I think that we need to learn how to create power off a ball that's sitting. And the
Hmm.
easiest way to learn that is to get out on the court by yourself and simulate receiving a ball that's just sitting and then accelerate on the ball and spin it. So, and practice that enough so that when you receive that ball in a match, you know exactly how to execute and what it feels like to execute that shot. I think like dead ball feeds from coaches are really important. And you see,
Hmm.
even on the professional level, you see it all the time because not every ball that we're receiving is coming at us with a great deal of speed. It hits the court and loses half its speed. So learning how to generate power and spin off a ball that's sitting is really an important skill. And you can actually learn it by yourself. I spent a lot of time on the court by myself, honing my skills and simulating situations and shots and everything. And all my course material I actually do that. I teach you how to actually develop the skill by yourself because there's so much productivity that can be done without a practice partner. But that's really important that when you're playing against someone who pushes the ball, that you're able to execute your strokes confidently and execute them and not get into the pushing back and forth kind of thing. Don't fall into that trap.
Hmm.
Accelerate
Well,
the racket and on the ball.
yeah, and just a couple other things. If you're trying to create power off a slow ball, John's already given so many of these tips today. That the tension in your body needs to be looser, not tighter. When we want to hit the ball hard, sometimes we tighten up because we want to muscle it. And then his first tip was also footwork. So many people I see, when they see a ball just floating there, they move to it, stop, wait on it, clobber it, and miss it. If you watch the pros, if they get a floater, right, there's not many just pure floaters out there in the pro tour, but you're going to see at least a handful of them in most matches. And you'll see the pros hop up to the ball, and then their body's flowing through the shot. So they're creating that energy to the ball to where they don't have to over muscle with their arm, that their body is flowing and connecting into the shot. I actually watched Emma Raducanu a couple of years ago. It rained, so she came into Harper's Point where I do my Cincinnati clinic, and she was going to play Serena Williams the next night. For 2 hours straight, she did what I call hop, hop, hit forehand. The person just fed her a moon ball. She hopped, hit, danced through the ball 2 hours straight. It was that and a volley. And then she actually went out and beat Serena pretty good that night. But yeah, so I think that's important. I do think also it's also important to realize, okay, there's a reason we're playing club tennis. So it's hard to just make this, even though like, I got so many looks at balls I should just clobber. It's hard to do that for 2 out of 3 sets. You're not going to be able to just hit winners for 2 out of 3 sets. And so again, you're going to have plenty of opportunity. You're going to get plenty of good looks against somebody who hits slower, a counterpuncher. So you're going to have plenty of good looks. And then the more you have different skills too, you don't always have to be playing offensive with a hard shot. You can play offensive, like John said, with a drop shot. Bringing them in is an offensive play. You created something that they have to respond to, and now they have trouble getting there, and you just volley it away, or there's a bunch of different things you can do. So don't put pressure on yourself that just because, gosh, I'm getting so many good looks, that it's very hard realistically. With as little as I play tennis these days, I don't think I could just go out there. If somebody was great at retrieving the ball and could get the ball back, and they just lobbed it, but they could handle anything I hit at them, I don't think I could hit winners with 2 out of 3 sets as hitting the ball hard. I would miss a lot of shots. You have to have amazing timing to do that.
Yeah. A couple thoughts. When you say hop, hop, I want to just clarify that I think what you're referring to is shuffling.
Yeah, shuffling to the ball.
Because shuffling is really a great skill, an important skill, because it actually allows the footwork and the swing work to connect together. And it's really important that you make your adjusting steps or you're moving to the ball. Unless you have to run a long distance, you should be trying to get that rhythmic shuffling into your stroke, into your position to play the stroke. And then when you're playing against someone who pushes and the tempo of the ball is so slow, you feel like you're waiting for it. Your preparation for the ball needs to adapt to how much time you have, because you don't want to get to the ball, stop and wait and be stuck and then try to create a swing. Remember, your swing is going to play off the rhythm of your legs. So your legs your feet need to land and then take you into the swing. There's a timing between the two that's critical to creating that rhythm. So if the ball's coming slower, you don't have to run drastically fast and get to the ball and stop and wait. You want to feel that same rhythmic feeling. And if the ball comes faster, you got to move quicker and create the rhythm again. And that's really important. That's how you play against players that take pace off of every ball and give you lots of time to think. As soon as you stop moving your feet, you're overthinking. You're going to start thinking. If your feet are moving, you're going to find your natural movement much better, for sure.
Great stuff. Yeah. Okay, how many more do we have?
Oh, 20? I don't know. Just okay. I mean,
you could
that many
go
more.
On all day.
We've already talked about tension. Let's take a look here. Yeah, again, I just go back to spend 50% of your practice time, of your core time practicing. And make sure that you're getting in the gym too. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But I think that we need to spend more time practicing and learning how to practice productively. That's your passage to improvement. If you're just going to a pro and taking a lesson every week and going and playing 3 matches, your improvement's going to be marginal. But if you're really looking to develop a full set of skills and so forth, take pride in getting out on the court, even by yourself, and working on your skills, because it will pay off. So it's really important that you spend time practicing. And I know that a lot of you probably do, because I think we probably have the most dedicated players.
Oh yeah,
here.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
People keep coming on too. We're almost at 100 now, and everybody's paying attention. And this would be interesting to see what you think. And I've told so many junior coaches this. The adults who are online and then they come train with me, and maybe they think I'm just trying to make them feel good that they've, traveled, and I'm just, kind of kissing their butt. But I'm like, do you guys work harder and are more focused than so many juniors I've trained? Like juniors that are like really good, and they still don't have, to me, the same level of focus, commitment, trying hard, good attitude. It's pretty amazing. You've coached all kinds of levels. Do you see the same kind of thing as far as the online adult community?
Yeah, and even now, I do coach in the junior program here at the Newport Beach Tennis Club, and it is gratifying at times and frustrating at times, because the juniors don't work as hard as the adults. When I'm with the adults and I'm doing video reviews and working with adults, my online students and so forth, it's super gratifying, because they're there because they want to get better, and they're focused and they're invested, and that's wonderful. I love it, for sure.
Yeah. All right, very cool. Frank says he's had enough of us.
Who's that?
Because I like to see on court instruction, not two talking heads, not interested.
Bye. Okay, sorry.
That's one thing too about TennisCon. We appreciate you guys are on listening to us, and Frank, I believe Frank is actually followed a lot of online instruction, so I'm not trying to knock them. But if you do go inside Tennis Con, that's what it's about. Pretty much all the coaches have done something on the court and are demoing on the court. John
Yeah.
has 2 videos where he's demoing on the court. But I do think that these discussions are pretty good. And from a technology standpoint, if we tried to set up all these on the court together and kind of go back and forth like that, it would probably be a nightmare where we'd lose connection and you wouldn't hear us. And so
Sure.
that's it.
Next up, I think this is becoming more focused and more of a factor that people are discovering. But you got to spend time on the mental game too. You got to, we spend so much time working on what we can see and what we're doing on the court physically, but so much of what we're doing is dictated by how we're thinking. And I know Richard was great at this in his presentation the other night, but you need to improve your learning skills, your self-awareness skills, your relaxation skills, your focus skills, your eye skills, your thought processes, your rituals, routines, and really feel that creates a sense of inner confidence that really translates into match play as well. So it's so important that you're developing your mental skills. And there are a lot of great resources. Jeff Greenwald, who's on here, he's a great mental coach. He's just had a book come out called The Mental Edge. It's good for coaches, parents, and players. He's terrific. And I think that he's one example of a good mental coach. There's plenty of others out there too. Get the books, read the books. Even going back to Timothy Galloway's Inner Game of Tennis, it has so many great things that are timeless in it that will help you improve your mental game. And that's just such a critical piece that we tend to not spend as much time on. So
Yeah.
invest in that for sure.
Yeah.
Super,
Yep.
super important.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I think this is kind of my last big one. And if we just look at how professional tennis has transpired over the years and progressed and evolved, the players are spending a lot more time off the court in the gym or in fitness programs. It kind of goes all the way back to, like, for those of you who remember Martina Navratilova, when she came to the US in like 1972 or 3, she was like 18 years old and she was completely out of shape. When she changed her game, I think it was Nancy Lieberman influenced her, and she became an incredibly fit athlete. Her strokes weren't any different, but she became the greatest player through her fitness. And that's just an example. And I think that at any age, we can improve our mobility and our fitness, and it will immediately help your tennis. I think we work with it a lot of adults, Peter, and oftentimes we see that what's limiting them from refining a skill is the mobility or fitness element to their game that's limiting them. So, some of you probably know this. I started doing yoga again. I did yoga years ago, but I came back from a trip in June, and just starting July 1st, I rejoined my yoga studio, and I've done 42 yoga classes since July 1st. And it's really changed my whole feeling. I'm stronger, fitter, more mobile, better. And I think getting into a yoga class, a program, getting into Pilates, getting a fitness trainer, getting stronger and fitter, it's going to help your tennis. It's not always fun, but the difference it makes for you is enormous. So it will sustain you. It'll make you perform better, give you more confidence. So much to be learned from that and experience from that, both on and off the tennis court. Improve the quality of your life by improving your fitness level. Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah,
and then another thing about that too is we've talked about 50%, being practice, and I think a lot of people, at least maybe they're playing dumb, because I say it a lot in my videos and in my emails. But if somebody doesn't send me a video or do something like, oh, I couldn't practice because it's been raining or it's too cold, and you can practice. First of all, you can get fitter, like John's saying, through yoga and Pilates, and that will help your game. But you can also practice tennis stuff and tennis movements, kind of make some of your workouts a tennis specific movement workout, and shadow stroke, and watch yourself. I tell people this all the time. When I was 12 and under, I was a wall, and I got highly ranked being a wall, state champion and number 2 in middle states. And then I played this one match in 14 under, like one of my first matches, and this one guy I was used to beating, came back from voluntaries and cleaned my clock. And this Australian coach said to my mom, he's like, if your son keeps playing like that in the 14, 16, he's not going to be highly ranked anymore. He's not going to be, this big fish in a small pond anymore. So of course that got my attention. So I actually turned into becoming more of a pure serve volleyer, completely different. So I had this high motivation to learn it. I bought into what the guy said. The courts, we played a lot of indoors, a lot of faster courts, but I can remember, I would say maybe one of the top 3 things that helped my volley was seeing, I could still see the mirrors clear as day in my hallway in New Jersey. And I did not go down that hallway once without volleying to the mirror. And once I started to really feel what was right, my shadow volley, and I could pair it with hitting the volley, and I knew how it felt like it was right, because for a while it just sucked. I would do what he was telling me, but my volley sucked. But then once you started to connect it, the mind and the body and the feel, my shadow strokes, I could feel myself hitting the ball. I could feel it. And that's super important if you want to get this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my thoughts on that is that, I have a lot of students that send in videos and they go, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how bad I looked. The video is great, but a mirror is way better. You know why? Because it's real time. So why do they have mirrors in dance studios and gyms and gymnastics studios and martial arts studios? So that you, the student, can look at yourself, because you'll self-correct, because you'll immediately see something that doesn't look right, and you'll want to look right in front of the mirror. So doing mirror work is really important, because it will really connect, like Peter's saying, the technique and form to reality. It's more reality versus taking, filming and then looking at a video later. When you're in front of a mirror, you're going to self-correct so quickly, and then repeat that. Keep doing the repetition so that muscle memory starts to really build in there, and then it'll show up when you start to play the ball. Yeah. Yeah, mirror works great.
I'm 70 years old, and when I get an easy ball to put away close at the net, I am dumping in the net. What am I doing wrong? Do you want to take a stab at that?
Oh, wait a second. Yes. Kenzie came over here. Remember Kenzie? Oh yeah. So that's a difficult question to answer, because it could be mental, it could be positioning, it could be the shot choice you're playing, it could be the technique you have. So I really don't know. I mean, I'd have to take a look at your technique and see you in action to actually really detect what that is. Obviously, as tennis players, we've all missed the ball that we really want to get. Because when we get it, there's that moment of truth, like, oh my God, I finally got the ball I want, and I should be able to just knock this thing off and put it away. And there's a journey and a learning process to staying calm and staying confident and settled and making the shot that you make in practice. So I think I'm going to lean more towards it being a mental problem than a technical problem, although it could be a blend of the two.
I'll take a stab. Do you want to show us Kenzie?
She ran off.
Oh, okay. So I will say that it maybe not be like John is saying, we're not seeing you play, but I know a lot of club players do this. You get excited. I call it, what you need to do to be able to put easy volleys away is develop something called fire and ice. And usually what I see is either ice and fire, meaning that your feet don't move at all and your hands are on fire on the easy ball, and you end up breaking your wrist and slamming the ball into the net, right? Or it's fire and fire. Your feet are on fire, and then you feel that energy and your whole body gets on fire. So you move your feet finally, and then you also then move your hands. Your hands are on fire too. Now, it's not to say that you can't sometimes just come up and just swat a ball away. I'm not saying never do that, but especially if it's like a huge point and you definitely don't want to miss volleys, the more you can get in touch with fire and ice, moving your feet to the ball, and then your hands are ice and frozen on your target, you're going to miss a lot less of these. Again, the more when John talks about preparation, seeing the ball, identifying the ball, reading it, getting it locked in on the strings to where you almost can't miss it, and then the strings just point to wherever you want the ball to go, those are hard to dump in the net if you actually do that. So I recommend that you learn how to volley with fire and ice. Your feet are moving and your hands think more like ice.
That's awesome. That's a great concept. Really, really good. I think that when we get that ball, we have this image of being able to just clobber it. My favorite winners are ordinary shots to open parts of the court.
Mm-hmm.
And and big, we always remember the great shot we hit that was unbelievable, and we remember those when we used to watch matches. Remember the two passing shots that Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer hit back to back in the 2008 Wimbledon. Rafa hit a forehand down the line. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. And Roger came back and hit that backhand on the line. But those don't usually typically win and lose matches. It's the other shots, and I love to hit a winner when I have my opponent so far off the court that I don't have to do anything special to win the point, because I'm also sending a message. A, I'm calm, and B, I have you totally under control. I'm totally controlling you. Look, I can just dump it in the open court. I don't have to do anything phenomenal. And I just place it, look at him, gotcha, move on.
Mm-hmm.
I love hitting that kind of finishing the point with that kind of a winner, which is
Mm-hmm.
nothing astonishing at all, but I'm just controlling you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your friend as we sign off today.
Kenzie. How you doing, Kens? Hey, can I have a
Oh,
schnug? Can I have a schnug?
oh,
There's the schnug.
Kenzie.
Kenzie's a little schnoodle. She's mostly a schnauzer, but she's also a little poodle. Super smart, super fun. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
she's a good girl. You a good girl? Have a schnug? Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. I love Kenzie. How old's Kenzie?
She is 9. Yeah, she's
Okay.
9, but she thinks she's 2, and
Okay.
she's a whole lot of fun. Hey, run along, go. Good girl. Yeah, so we have a lot of fun with her. Our daughter is off to college as a freshman at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So Kenzie is the kid in the house. So she gets a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as I said to Richard Bryce, kind of like, and we actually might, me and Richard, we might do a Hot Wings episode together. I think that'd be fun, tennis Hot Wings. But what they say at the end of that show is, this camera, that camera, that camera. Tell everybody what you got going on. So tell everybody a little bit more about what you're doing, where they can find you, what you're kind of into these days.
Yeah, I do my online business, which I really love, and I do some coaching here at the Newport Beach Tennis Club as well, and coach juniors and work in the junior program. Um, but my online business is really my passion, and as we talked about earlier, the online students are amazing. We love them. They're dedicated. They're committed. So I'm going to continue to put more energy into that. My website is called performanceplustennis.com. I've got a variety of different things that I do there. There's obviously a lot of free content. I also do a video analysis service, which is very productive because it really gives students the clarity on the things that they need to work on, and that's really popular. I also have courses on every stroke in the game, including strategies and for singles and tactics and all kinds of different things. VIP memberships and so forth as well. I also have my YouTube channel, Performance Plus Tennis on YouTube. There's a lot of free content there as well. So feel free to browse around, see if there's something that you like, and reach out to me through my contact me page if I can help you in any way. Yeah, and I just think that, Peter, what you're doing with TennisCon and with tennis in general is fantastic, and really appreciate being, part of all the things that you do. And we have a great rapport. I wish I could get over
Absolutely.
to Atlanta. Like we were going to get together this June or May, but it didn't work
Yeah.
out. So, but
Yeah.
maybe we
Well, we'll
can do that
try
in the
maybe
future.
next year.
On opposite coasts,
Yeah.
so it's a little difficult. But
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, just I love the coaching world, and helping people is the biggest thrill I get, and helping grow the game, and sharing the love of the sport. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Guys, we're going to be live. I think the next time I'm live, if I'm right, is going to be with Maribon on Sunday night at 8 p.m. to kick off TennisCon. So we're going to remember TennisCon 9 is a challenge this year. We have 9 days of challenges, and you're scoring points if you're on the lifetime membership. The reason why is because it's a membership software, right? That we have to be able to know who's winning. That hooks up to a membership software. Otherwise, you can watch on the free pass for 48 hours. So that's all going to be kicking off next Monday. If you do buy early, though, we already have the first 2 days in there. I might even add day 3 before Monday. So people are already off and running scoring points, and it's a lot of fun. And John's video is actually up in there right now. He has 2 videos. He's got a serve video, and he's also got a mid-court video that I think it comes out on like day 4 or 5. So you can check all that out. definitely go to performanceplustennis.com. Check out John. Look at his YouTube channel. There's a whole bunch of amazing videos on there. And, if you want to get reviewed by John, if you're like, man, I went through his serve video. I can't toss like that. Or some of the other serve videos, like I'm not quite doing that. Feel free to contact John and set up a lesson with him online. You can really learn a lot from a coach online, believe it or not. So we'll let you and Kenzie's like, come on, that's enough.
Well, we've got somebody at the front door, so Kenzie's going to protect us. She's
okay. We'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for your time today, John.
Okay. See you, everybody. Enjoyed. Thanks.